Welcome on the channel Voices of Reddit. Today we have an intriguing story about the
Am I the bad person for standing up to my intrusive landlord over my right to privacy? Recently, I found myself in need of a month-to-month lease in Baltimore, a city I was unfamiliar with. My job required me to be there for anywhere between 6 to 14 months, so flexibility was key. After an extensive search, I stumbled upon a small efficiency apartment in an older building. When I toured it 6 weeks prior to moving in, workers were still painting the rooms, and I was told I would be the first tenant. The landlord's son lived upstairs, and this was the landlord's first time renting out a property. The lease seemed standard, obviously pulled from a generic form. One clause in the lease caught my eye. It stated that I couldn't install curtain rods or hooks. This seemed normal. I had a similar clause in my previous apartment. I assumed there would be some form of window coverings provided and that this clause was meant to prevent damage from additional installations. On Sunday, I moved in and was surprised to find that the landlord had not installed any curtains or blinds. The apartment had 4 large windows, and given that the building was on a busy street corner with considerable foot traffic, this was a significant issue. From the street, anyone could see directly into my apartment, with the exception of the small portion of the bathroom containing the toilet and tub. Not only did this lack of privacy make me uncomfortable, but the neighborhood also had a slightly sketchy vibe after dark. Nearby buildings had bars on their windows, and I was acutely aware that passersby could easily see my possessions and whether or not I was home. Assuming the issue with curtains was related to potential wall damage, I decided to purchase tension rods that required no hardware and use them to hang curtains. This seemed like a reasonable solution that respected the lease agreement while addressing my need for privacy. However, on Monday afternoon, I received a text message from my landlord demanding that I remove the curtains. Confused and frustrated, I replied, expressing my concerns about privacy and safety. His response was curt, "We read your lease." Feeling unsettled, I decided to leave the curtains up overnight. The next morning, I had an orientation at work. Upon returning to my apartment, I was shocked to find the curtains had been removed and were nowhere in the apartment. Even more alarming, as I approached my building, I noticed 2 men outside one of my windows, peering into my living space. They quickly dispersed when they saw me. Angry and feeling violated, I messaged the landlord, stating that he didn't have the right to enter my apartment without notice and demanded the return of my curtains. His reply was infuriating. "Check your lease." He then added a snide comment about how I needed to finish unpacking because my apartment looked messy. I had to attend a work event shortly after, so I couldn't address the situation further at that moment. Before leaving, I moved my electronics to one corner of the apartment and used a bookshelf to block one of the windows, hoping to obscure the view of my valuables. While at the event, I received another text from the landlord, this time with a picture of the blocked window and the caption, "What's this?" It was clear he had entered my apartment again without permission. This was too much. I felt unsafe and harassed in my own home. Desperate for advice, I mentioned this situation during dinner with colleagues. Coincidentally, one of them was the company's lawyer, a woman I knew and trusted. She offered to review my lease unofficially. After examining it, she pointed out that, despite Baltimore's shaky laws regarding landlord entry, my lease specifically stated that the landlord must provide 48 hours notice before entering and must call prior to entering in case of an emergency. Empowered by this information, I decided to take action. First, I called the police to report the theft of my curtains. While they provided a police report, they seemed uninterested in confronting the landlord directly. I also reported the theft to my renter's insurance, providing them with the text messages from the landlord as evidence. They assured me they would look into the matter. Next, I purchased room dividers, which couldn't be classified as curtains or blinds, but effectively blocked the windows while still allowing light to enter. They were affordable and within my rights to use. I also thoroughly searched my apartment for any hidden cameras or surveillance devices, given the landlord's intrusive behavior, but found none. My lawyer friend drafted a formal letter for me to send to the landlord. It outlined my rights as a tenant, quoted the lease regarding entry notifications, and reminded him that he was bound by these rules. I sent the letter on my company's letterhead, helping to add some weight to the message. To enhance my security, my company arranged to provide me with a security camera that would automatically upload footage offsite. It had a battery backup in case of power outages and operated on cellular networks, eliminating the need for Wi-Fi. I also decided to send my most valuable possessions, like my PlayStation 4 and professional cameras, back home. My personal and work laptops would stay with me at all times. This left only my television and the security camera itself as potential targets. I ordered a sign to place outside my apartment, stating that the property was monitored by security cameras and purchased a door jamb to prevent unauthorized entry while I was inside. Just when I thought I was regaining control, the landlord sent another text, "Sweetie, I didn't think you'd be like this." His condescending tone and inappropriate use of "sweetie" infuriated me. I promptly replied, "I'm not your sweetie. I'm your tenant. My name is Sarah. Please use it." At this point, it became clear that my landlord's behavior wasn't just unprofessional, it was bordering on harassment. I contemplated breaking my lease altogether, but finding new accommodations on such short notice seemed impossible, and I needed to be in Baltimore for work. I decided to stand my ground. If the landlord continued to violate the lease terms, I would document every incident. If necessary, pursue legal action. My safety and privacy were non-negotiable. In the days that followed, the landlord's intrusion ceased, likely due to the formal letter and the visible security measures I'd taken. While I remained cautious, I felt a renewed sense of empowerment. I wasn't going to let him intimidate me out of my home.